Hello and welcome. My name is Calliope and I am looking for a very special kind of person, and I'm hoping that perhaps you might be one of those people. I am looking for the HSP type of person for a research study. Now, the acronym HSP stands for Highly Sensitive Person. This was coined by psychologist Elaine Aron, and it describes a collection of traits both in personality and physical. Now, to start, I would like to do a questionnaire with you to determine if we should move forward with the testing. Now, I want you to rate each statement on a scale from 1 to 5, with 1 being not true at all and 5 being absolutely true. Now, our first statement is, I may feel flustered, overwhelmed, or anxious if I have too many things to do. How true does that statement feel for you? I may feel flustered, overwhelmed, or anxious if I have too many things to do. Number 2, loud noises, strong smells, and tastes, or bright lights and colors bother me. Loud noises, strong smells and tastes, or bright lights and colors bother me. On a scale from 1 to 5, how true is this for you? I have been described by myself or others as being too sensitive. How true is this for you? I notice sensory information, like smells or sounds, that others do not. Good. I can pick up on subtle changes in mood, behavior, or environment. Good. I have been described by myself or others as highly empathic. Highly empathic. How true would that be for you? I experience music and or art intensely. How true would this be for you? I tend to avoid confrontations or chaos. Confrontations or chaos. How true is this statement for you? Good. Now, I think based on your results here, that it would be a good idea for us to move forward with our examination here. Now, for this examination, I'm going to be testing some of your senses to gauge their sensitivity. We are going to be doing touch, hearing, a little bit of sight, and a little bit of smell and taste as well. For this examination, I will need to be touching you. Is that okay with you? Do I have your consent to do that? So we are going to start, if you'll give me just a moment, with our touch tests. I am going to be testing 3 different properties: pressure, soft and sharp sensations, and warm or cold sensations. So to start, I'm just going to use my hands, and I'm going to be pressing in on different parts of your face. And I'd just like you to tell me when you feel that touch, right? Now I'm going to start right in here. Here. Good. Here. And did those feel the same on both sides? Here. Here. And did those feel the same? Here. Here. And those? Good. All right, so we're starting off on even ground. Very good. Now, if you could tell me when you feel me touching your skin. Good. 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 So the HSP, the highly sensitive person. Good. The HSP often experiences life very intensely, and life as in art, music, beauty, people, social situations, and stimuli like touch. Good. And the HSP actually has a lot in common with ASD, or autism spectrum disorder. But our main differences here is that the HSP has a collection of traits rather than a disorder. There may be some times where these traits make life a little more difficult. But they may also have advantages in others. They don't tend to interfere with daily life and make things quite a bit harder. In addition to that, with ASD, an autistic person can experience hyposensitivity as well as hypersensitivity. They may be hyposensitive to touch, but hypersensitive to sound, whereas our HSPs are only hypersensitive. Very good. Okay. So how did that all feel to you? Anything unusual at all? Very good. Now I'm going to bring out our soft and sharp tools here. I have a regular cotton bud and a toothpick here. So the soft sensation is just going to feel like a little bit of a light stroke. You wouldn't mind? I'd like to test this right along the jaw. Just like that. Right? And our sharp sensation will also have a bit of that glide. But as you can see, The sharp is not going to hurt. It is just a pointed tip of contact, and I'll just run it along the skin, like so. I'm going to test this on your jaw. Like that. And how was that? Very good. Now, if you could tell me whether you feel the soft or sharp test. First, I'm just going to test both sides. Make sure everything feels the same. Good. That side. How did that feel? Here and here. How did that feel? Same. Good. And how about here and here? Good. Now we'll flip to the sharp point. We'll just go here. Here. Good. Good. And here. As well as here. How was that? Both sides were even on all of those. Very good. Now we'll get into distinguishing the soft from sharp. So just let me know. Soft. Sharp. 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 Soft. Soft. Very good. And we will continue this for a little bit. Sharp. Good. I'm testing these on the main branches of the trigeminal nerve. There are 3 branches, and we have them right in here. The ophthalmic branch, the maxillary branch, and the mandibular branch. And that's why it's called the trigeminal nerve. That's why we have that tri prefix. Soft. Soft. Sharp. Soft. 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 Good. Sharp. 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 Soft. 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 Good. Now for our third test, we are going to be testing warm and cool sensations. Or if it's easier, just call it hot or cold. I have a tuning fork here. This little end retains heat quite well, while this end is quite cool to the touch. I would just like you to tell me if you feel the cool or cold side, or the hot or warm side here. So let's start warm, warm, and then those feel the same. Good. Warm. And warm, 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 and then Did those all feel the same on both sides? Good. Now the cool side. Cool. 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 And cool. How did those feel? Everything's the same. Good. So now, if you could just let me know either warm or cool, or if it's easier, hot or cold. We will start. Cool. Warm. Cool. Warm. Warm. Cool. Good. Cool. 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 Warm. Warm. And warm. Good. Cool. Warm. Cool. Warm. Cool. Warm. Very good. We are going to be moving on to the sensation of hearing. And I will need all of my tuning forks here. Jot down. There. Our results from our sensation testing. For hearing, we are going to be doing both speech and sounds. So if you could just tell me what you hear as best as you can. The HSP has different traits, like being empathetic to a fault. Good. They can also quite appreciate beauty in art and music. Good. They tend to be highly creative and experience the world intensely. Good. Experience all of their senses on a much different level than other people. Good. So that was a pretty complex test to start with. Now we're just going to work it down a little bit to just words that I'll have you repeat. All right? Paint. Good. Okay. I'm going to do a little bit of finger rubbing here. If you could just tell me when you hear the sound start, right? Doesn't matter which side it's on, just when it starts. Good. Mm-hmm. Yep. Good. Mm-hmm. Good. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good. Yep. Mm-hmm. Almost got you there. Yep. Mm-hmm. Very good. Now if you could tell me when the sound stops. Mm-hmm. Good. Mm-hmm. Yep. Good. Mm-hmm. Good. Mm-hmm. Yep. Good. Mm-hmm. Yes. Very good. Okay. So words and sounds so far are good. You are particularly good with the little finger rubbing test there. And I'm going to bring out some tuning forks here. And I just want you to tell me when you hear these different sounds. We are going to start with the highest pitched one. This is our 2048 hertz fork. Just let me know when you hear it. Some of these can be a little quiet, might be a little difficult to hear, but just do your best. Good. Yeah, a little bit on a few of those. Okay. And this one tends to be a little tricky. This is my 1024 hertz, but it's got a little bit of a bend there, so sometimes that sound doesn't last quite as long. Do let me know if you can hear it though, I'm kind of curious. Mm-hmm. Okay, I see. So maybe just a touch. But I think that's probably more than I can hear it, really. And now for our 512 hertz one. This should be quite easy to hear. coming in loud and clear. Very good. Good. That middle one was rather loud, sehr laut. And now our 256 hertz tuning fork. We're starting to get real way down in our frequencies. They might be a little more difficult to hear. Good. Good, okay. That one's one of my favorites, both to hear and both to use. And then we have our very last one, the 128 hertz tuning fork. I am quite curious about this one. That one's a little trickier to strike, yes. Good. All right. I am quite pleased with the results I'm seeing so far. I think we're doing quite well. You're right. There we are. Excellent. Now, this next test is not so much interactive, but instead I'm going to be testing your sensitivity to light. I'm going to be taking a quite bright light and bringing it very close in your visual fields here. I'm looking for certain little signs that it might be a bit overstimulating, more than the average bear. Bright lights tend to be rather stimulating for many people. And I'm just going to have you as best as you can. Just look straight ahead. I'm just going to bring this in and take a little look at how your eyes react. So in addition to the traits that we've already talked about, the HSP also experiences emotions on a more intense level, and they tend to avoid disturbing or distressing situations, whether that is movies or other mediums of media, or the news, for example, certain people. They tend to avoid anything that has that sort of chaos to it. They may also have what's called a rich inner life, which generally means they have a lot going on in their head. Things can be quite detailed. They can come up with rather extraordinary daydreams, for example. Maybe they have quite a bit of running commentary in their head. They may also experience a lot of intense, vivacious dreams, rather detailed. Might have storylines and everything. I am curious if the HSP tends to lucid dream more than the average person. But that's a topic for another time. They also tend to form rather close bonds with people, and generally quite quickly as well. They seem to get people on another level. Now, this is not necessarily reciprocated, unfortunately, which is something that an HSP needs to take care with, that the relationship they have with someone is not much deeper on their side than the other. These little signs that may indicate a deeper level of overstimulation. Sometimes it can be even something like fluorescence versus incandescence. The fluorescent cold lighting of an office might be irritating and overstimulating, while the warm tone of a bright lamp, for example, may be much more soothing. Depends on the person. Cool light can be a little more harsh. Warm light tends to be a little more cozy. Good. Okay. We have a couple of signs here. And now we're going to move on to our smell and taste testing. So I'm going to do this as a sort of alternating test. I'll have you smell something, I'll have you taste something, smell, taste, vice versa. Now, let's start with our smell. And I have this little container here, and I'd like you to just take a little smell of this and tell me what you smell. And if you could try to be as detailed as possible, that would be excellent. Right, so we are getting citrus, but what kind? Can you tell me a little bit more? Okay, it's a little more muted. What else? It's rather rich, full-bodied, a little more floral, almost perfumey, okay. And what else? Quite sweet. What do you think this particular citrus is? Grapefruit. Very good. That's the kind of thing we're looking for. Is the person that can pick out different layers of sensation, whether it's hearing, whether it's sight, or taste and smell. Now, for our taste here, I'm going to have you just stick out your tongue here. I'm going to coat the tongue a little bit. All sides. Good. Now if you could take a taste and see what that is. I promise it's nothing you're allergic to. I already have that all noted down and checked. Right, so we are getting an overwhelming saltiness. But what else? What else is in there? Okay, it's got a thick coating to it, and there are a few layers. Like what? Alright, sort of a meaty taste to it. And what taste is that? Good, that is soy sauce. You can taste that umami in it. That's your little bit of a meaty taste to it. So let's move on to smell. And if you could tell me what this smells like. Good. Okay, so quite sharp. Right. And what else? Bit of a tang to it. Okay. Anything else? Here we go. A little metallic. Good. Sharp, tangy, metallic. So what would this smell possibly be? Very good. This is a vinegar, and more specifically, white vinegar. Good. White vinegar. Not a lot of people can pick out that note of metal. But the HSP is generally going to pick out those little notes, like for example in water. In water they might be able to taste all those little minerals and metally bits, whereas other people maybe not so much. Now for a taste here. I think this is something to pick out the layers of it. Right? Tell me the different layers we have in that taste. So firstly, it's a bit sweet. Okay. And a little mealy. Right? Kind of mellow. Good. Rather buttery. Excellent. And anything else you can pick out? Okay, that's most of it. Alright, so what do you think this is? What does this remind you of? Good, that is a bit of a corn cake. So you can taste a little bits of sweetness to it, sweeter than a cornbread, but still retains that sort of mealy corn taste. And our corn cake. Good. And last smell. Take a smell of this, and if you could just tell me what this smells like. This is going to be an interesting one. It was more of a wild card. Not sure how you are going to react to this one. What can you pick out from this one? So we have two different notes of a tang. Okay, so two separate notes. And what else? A lot of acidity. Good. What else can you pick? Touch of sweetness. Alright, and it kind of sticks to the inside of your nose. It's interesting. What do you think that smell is? That is ketchup and mustard mixed together. That's why you got those two different notes of that tang, that acidity. Yeah, I'm quite surprised. It's kind of a 50-50 on if people get it or not. Generally, they don't expect that something is going to be mixed together. It's generally supposed to be one note. And the last one, we're going to do our taste. This one is going to be less difficult, but it does have more layers. Just going to apply this to your tongue here. And what do you taste there? All right. Yes, I was wondering. So there's two tastes that go to different parts of the mouth, right? You have a sweet one that tends to stay on the tongue, and then you have a different one, almost a dry taste, that likes to stick to the sides of the mouth. What else? Getting more of that dryness. Tannins. Yes, that's more of a tannin taste. Slightly bitter. And anything else? Okay, it has a bit of a leafy taste to it. So what do you think this is? Good. That is tea. More specifically, what do you think it is? a sweetened black tea. Very good. Very good. I'm quite pleased with all of that. I think that we got some wonderful results. And I do think I'm looking at an HSP here. Now, you do not have to participate in any sort of studies, any further sort of testing, but you're more than welcome to, and I would greatly appreciate your participation. But either way, I'd like to share with you just a few things that HSPs might keep in mind that may make their life a little easier, a little less chaotic. So some of the special sort of care, if you will, of HSPs include making sure that you have adequate self-care, whether that's decompression, hobbies, taking time away from people, work, things like that. Adequate time that your body, your brain, your emotions can rest. Proper disengaging from people and stress as well. That goes a little bit in with our self-care. But, for example, if we're not feeling our best already, we're already overwhelmed, it might not be a great idea to throw ourselves into something we know is going to involve a lot. And monitoring relationships for healthy and reciprocal interaction. We talked a bit about how HSPs tend to form deep bonds with people. Sometimes that means they can get taken advantage of, or it's sort of the phenomenon of somebody we think is our best friend thinks of us as an acquaintance kind of deal. So just keeping an eye on that, making sure that you're not doing all the work, that it is a give and take relationship. And sensory solutions for when you are feeling overwhelmed or to keep you from feeling overwhelmed, like earplugs. I personally like the Loop brand. Or sunglasses, even if it's inside. Sometimes that can really help with very harsh overhead light. And things like non-irritating fabrics, cutting the tags out of your shirts, things like that. And that is some of our little HSP tips. I'd like to thank you for your cooperation and participation in our HSP examination. I hope you have a whale of a day and a good rest of your night. Thank you. Bye now.
Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, it would greatly help me out if you clicked the like button and left a comment so YouTube's algorithm registers that it was a good video. If you want to see more of my work, consider subscribing to the channel. I create primarily medical, pseudoscience / alternative medicine, and personal attention ASMR roleplays. But I've done a little bit of everything, from historical to sci-fi to fantasy. If you'd like to support the channel, I offer ad-free videos, early access on videos, and exclusive content on Patreon. Or I also have a Ko-Fi link for a one-time donation, or a throne wish list for props and equipment. Thank you again, and I hope you have a whale of a day and a good rest of your